Hi guys. I'm here with a story for you guys out of my Dreams and Miracles book by Anne Spangler, which, as I told you before, are all true stories that people write in to Anne, and some some are stories of her own that she put in the book. Today's story, we're almost done with this book, guys. Today's story is called Reunited, and it's by Terri Youngsma. And as always, I will start off by reading you guys the introduction. Terri lives in California with her 3 boys, Dirk, Nicholas, and Corey. She runs a dental lab out of her home, producing orthodontic study models for local dentists. In early 1994, her husband Wayne had a dream about his older brother Jeff, who had died of cancer the year before. Looking back, Terri wonders if Wayne's dream wasn't God's way of preparing them both for Wayne's own death 6 months later. Now let's get into Terri's story. I was working late one night when Wayne came into the kitchen, pale, shaky, and sweaty. He was having a severe insulin reaction, and his eyes looked wild. A lifelong diabetic, he said he needed some sugar. Once Wayne calmed down, he told me about the dream he had just had. In his dream, the doorbell rang. When he opened the door, his brother Jeff was standing there. Neither of them spoke. They just hugged each other in the entryway, so glad to be together again. "I know how much you miss him," I said, aware of how depressed he had been since his brother's death. "Yes, I do, but this was real. It was just like you and I are talking right now. I saw Jeff," he insisted. "This dream was so vivid that it had actually triggered an insulin reaction. It happened 6 months before the day I will never forget. It happened on September 28th, 1994 at 7 a.m. I kissed Wayne goodbye just as I had every other morning of our 17 years together. He assured me he would get home from work in time to take Corey to baseball practice that night. Once I got the kids off to school, I decided to finish my coffee outside on the patio. I rarely took the time to enjoy such a leisurely moment, but the sunrise was especially gorgeous that day, lending a golden hue over the surrounding orange groves and the mountains beyond. As I savored the view, I began to sense something was terribly wrong. But how could anything be wrong in the midst of such a peaceful scene? Suddenly it seemed as though God put a thought into my head. Just as the sunrise is different each morning, each day is different. You don't know what the day holds. But I want you to know I am here and I am in control. Believe me, I am not the kind of person who says God told me this or that. I was startled by what I had heard. At 9 a.m., I got a phone call from San Bernardino County Medical Center. My heart started pounding ferociously. "Do you know a Wayne Youngsma?" "What's wrong?" I asked. The voice on the other end of the line was silent for a moment. "Ma'am, you need to come over here right away." As soon as I reached the medical center, I knew the worst had happened. Wayne had suffered a heart attack on the way to work and had died instantly in a high-speed rollover. A driver behind him had seen him slumped over the wheel. When the road curved, Wayne's truck kept going straight. It's still hard for me to talk about Wayne's death. I miss him so. But Wayne's dream about his brother Jeff and my experience on the patio 6 months later, the day my husband died, had been a tremendous comfort. Wayne was only 40 when he died. Afterward, I wondered in his dream about Jeff if it had been a sign they would soon be together again. Both brothers had been terribly close. Both had become Christians shortly before Jeff's death at age 49. Hard as his death was on me and the kids, I couldn't help thanking God for his mercy toward Wayne. He'd had diabetes since he was 14. His blood pressure was very high, and the disease had ravaged his body, resulting in kidney damage. It was all Wayne could do to make it through a day's work. As soon as he got home, Wayne would take a nap on the couch. I would wake him for dinner, and then he would go back to bed for the rest of the evening. I was grateful he hadn't needed to suffer for a prolonged period of time. After Wayne's death, I thought about what had happened the night before Jeff died. Wayne had been with him that evening. His brother was in a lot of pain, but he kept saying, "There's a staircase in my room. What's a stairway doing here?" Of course, Wayne couldn't see anything, but Jeff kept insisting. It made me wonder. For my part, I know our lives lead somewhere. No one can convince me that everything ends when our hearts stop beating and we take our last breath. I like to think about Jeff heading up those stairs with Wayne right behind him. It helps me to know they are together again. And that was Terri Youngsma's story that she calls Reunited. I thought that was a very beautiful story. Just like Terri, I have also heard personal experiences of family and friends that were passing, of stuff they seen and people they talked to right before they passed. And I truly believe it. I truly believe it with all my heart. My friend who I went to school with ended up dying here a few months ago. She had fought cancer since she was 18 years old, since we were seniors in high school. And she passed away, but before she passed, she kept telling her dad, she kept saying, "Do you hear that beautiful music? Dad, can you hear that music, that beautiful music? Can you see those beautiful lights?" Of course, he couldn't see or hear anything, but she could. And she said it was so beautiful. And she passed shortly after. He said he held her hand in this world and was holding it as she crossed over into the next world. And her father's a pastor, so yes, he knew where she was going. She knew where she was going, for she loved the Lord with all her heart. Another family member was, the doctor said, she could go at any time. Well, they thought for sure she was going to go that night, so that the kids were there saying their goodbyes. She's at a nursing home. And she told them, she said, "Don't worry, go home." Because some of them didn't want to leave her, They thought she was dying that night. And she's like, "Go home. I'm not going to die tonight." She said, "There's going to be a train wreck tonight, and they have to be there to take the people from the train. I'm going to go home tomorrow." So, what happened? They didn't believe it, of course. Who would? I would, but that's just me. But they found out the next morning they woke up, they found out there had been a big train wreck that night, and several people had been killed. And the next night, she passed away in the nursing home, just like she said the angel had told her. She couldn't go that night because there's going to be a big train wreck, so they had to get people from the train, and that her turn was going to be the next night, and it was exactly as she said it was. And I've had people that I know for a fact would never, ever, ever lie about such thing. And She swears up and down after her husband died, she saw him standing in the kitchen smiling at her, letting her know he was okay. And I truly believe that she did. She was a really, really good lady. She also, my aunt and I used to go up and take care of her and clean her house and get her groceries, and I would give her baths and stuff, and would do her laundry and such. She passed away a few years ago as well, so now I know she's in heaven again, and she's with her husband once again, and her daughter that also passed away years ago. I believe she passed in a motorcycle accident, I believe. So I know she's at peace now. Just so many stories, guys, like that. It's amazing. It's truly a miracle. And I have no doubt in my mind that there is a heaven and there is a hell. You don't want to wait until the last minute. I've said over and over and over again, you don't want to wait thinking you're going to have a deathbed before you turn your life over to the Lord. One of my sisters keeps saying, it doesn't matter what I do. I can do whatever I want now as long as I ask for forgiveness on my deathbed. I've told this story over and over, but I'm going to say it again. I say, yes, that's true. If you ask for forgiveness on your deathbed and accept Jesus into your heart, He will of course forgive you, and He will gladly welcome you, and you will be saved. But you cannot count on having a deathbed. I can't get that through. You cannot count on having a deathbed. You could die at any given moment. Excuse me, you are not guaranteed to grow old and gray. You could drop dead right now. You could be 4 years old and drop dead right now. You could be 20, get in a car wreck, or drop dead right now from a heart attack. You didn't know you had something wrong with your heart. When God says your time is up, your time is up. So you better have lived your life for God the way you should while you're here. Try your best to do the work that you think God put you here to do. God put you here for a reason. He put all of us here for a reason. And we need to serve the Lord while we were here. And accept Him into our lives and tell others about Him before it's too late. Because you will see that there is truly a heaven. There is truly a hell. There is truly a God. There is truly a man named Jesus in heaven who is our brother, God's Son. And you do not want to spend an eternity in hell, because there is a Satan, there is a devil, and you will be tormented for eternity in hell, living in torment forever. And would you want your children to be tormented in hell for eternity by demons, by Satan? Would you want them tormented forever? And you hear their cries, hear their screams. Mom, Dad, why didn't you tell me about Jesus? Why didn't you just tell me? It breaks my heart to see the parents who are not telling their children about the Lord. My own sisters don't want nothing to do with the Lord, and they don't want me even telling the kids anything about them, which I can't even see the kids now, but they don't want their kids knowing about Jesus. But like I said, 2 of them do, because I told them anyways. And I'm proud to say that my niece is a Christian. And she's only 15 years old, and she's been a Christian for years now. And she truly loves the Lord. She is a very good person. And she tells the others about Jesus. She's not afraid to go to school and tell her friends about Jesus. I'm so proud of her, so very proud. I'm proud of my nephew as well. I don't think he quite understands really yet, and he's kind of being brainwashed right now in the other direction. He's younger than my niece and kind of believes everything his mom says, and she brainwashes him so easily. I'm just hoping that, when he gets older, he will see for himself, and I'll be able to talk to him again and get through to him that it is seriously true that she don't know what she's talking about, and that we just need to pray for her, because we need to pray for her soul to be saved as well. She calls me a Bible thumper. That's all she calls me. But you know what? Then she pretends to be a good saint and goes to church and acts like she's a good Christian in front of all the pastor and all the people at church, and they believe her. And then she comes home and tells the kids that she's an atheist. She don't believe in God. But she goes to church and fools everyone. That's why I will say again, you can fool man. It's very easy to fool man, but you cannot and will not fool God, because God knows you better than you know yourself. He knows what the thoughts of your mind, He knows what's in your heart. You cannot hide from God, and you will have to answer for everything you've done one day. So it does not matter how you fooled those people in church and they think you're a saint and really you're evil and talking bad about the Lord and trying to convince your children He does not exist, because you will answer to Him one day. So we just need to pray for people like that, and pray that they get rid of that sin and that hate and turn their lives over to Jesus before it's too late for them, guys. We need to pray for everyone who is lost. That's what Jesus would want us to do. So with that being said, I'm going to end today's story. I hope you guys enjoyed Terri's story, Reunited. And I hope to see you guys soon with another story for you guys. I hope you guys have a great rest of your week. Bye, guys. God bless.